Hey folks, welcome back. I have your latest home prices and insights for week ending May 19th. Today, I'm in my casual clothes. Okay, so there's two insights I want to share with you before we get into the numbers. Okay, so two insights. One of them I really don't understand. So the first one, and I get the first one. The first one, there's always been situations where sellers sell today and they rent for a while before they buy again. And why would they do that? Well, they feel the market is high now, or they need the cash for something, so they need the cash flow. So they sell their home, get the money, they rent while they do something else with the money. That's one. Or they buy back in an area somewhere else, or they buy back when the market is lower. We see that all the time. But what's happening more and more now in this market is the sellers, and these are sellers that feel prices next year are going to be lower, they're putting their home on the market, and then the brokerage remarks, these are comments from realtor to realtor. The brokerage remarks say the sellers want to rent back from the buyer the same home for a year. So the sellers have no intention of moving. They don't want to move, but they want to sell their home. So they want to be tenants for a year. They want to sell high, thinking next year prices are lower. So we're seeing that more and more where sellers want to rent back. And I get why some sellers would want to do that. Now, keep in mind, I'm giving you these insights from being a full-time realtor on the road every day working with buyers and sellers. The other trend I don't quite get. When you see a listing and there's a price, before I run my buyers out and start looking at the home, I take a look at the price and I read the remarks on the listing, and there's an offer date. Right away I'm thinking, oh, these guys are expecting much more than asking. And I'll do a quick look in the area of what's sold to figure out, is this property going to sell for within my client's budget? And if there's an offer date, I'm expecting more, and that makes sense. Everybody kind of gets it. Whether you like offer dates or not, that's another story. But the trend I'm seeing is there's a list price, there's no offer date. And when I look at the list price and I look at the neighborhood and what's recently sold, it's actually quite close or in about the area that other homes have recently sold for. So I'm thinking, oh, these people have priced it at market value. There's no offer date. So we could be in a position to negotiate down a little bit, pay their asking, or maybe a little bit more if there's some competition. But when we do all this, we show the buyers, we take them to see the house, and you speak to the agent about putting an offer together. You speak to the listing agent, they tell you up front, oh, we want at least $100,000 over asking or $150,000 over asking. And it makes zero sense. It upsets everybody. And I don't get the strategy. I don't understand why I'm seeing this more and more. They put a list price at basically market value, what other homes have sold for very recently, and there's no offer date, giving you the impression we could negotiate a little bit or have to be really close to their price if we buy. But in their mind, they're expecting much more. Driving me crazy. I'm seeing those more and more, both of those trends, by being in the field every day as a realtor. Okay, let's get into the numbers. I have here City of Toronto, just the City of Toronto. I don't have Mississauga in these numbers. I don't have Durham region. I don't have York region, just the City of Toronto. And here's only detached properties for week ending May 19th. So sales went up a little bit. We sold 308 detached properties last week, up from 280, and 308 kind of comes up to where in the ballpark of where it's been for most of April, in and around the 300 mark. An average sold price has gone up slightly to $1,670,000. So when we see this 1670, it's kind of been pretty steady. Although here in middle of March we went up a little bit, but the just under 1.7, just over 1.7 is kind of where prices have been for the last few months. March prices were consistently higher than 1.7. We got the one crazy week here at 1.8, but we've been for the last few weeks 1.6.5, 1.670, which is where we are now. Pretty steady. Prices are staying right there. Compared to last year, well, you know, I have the slide here. I'm not really excited about comparing it to last year at this time. Maybe I should just remove the slide altogether. But last year at this time, we sold 10 properties at $2 million or more. This year was 68. It's a huge, huge difference in where we were last year when we were kind of getting ready, just talking about coming out of our first stay at home, our first lockdown, and it's a whole different attitude this year, even though technically right now we're still in a stay at home order. When we look at sales, they have gone up, but of the 308 that were sold, 73% sold at list price or more. So there's still competition. We are seeing, though, when we look back at March, there were many more buyers showing up at offer night. Right now, slightly less. It seems that the market has calmed a little bit. So instead of 10, 15 offers on offer night or 20 offers on offer night, there's 3, there's 4. So sellers are still getting over asking, and offer nights are still working, but kind of not like as aggressive as it was just a couple months ago. Listings are down. So sales are up. Listings are down from the previous week. And how does that affect months of inventory? Well, months of inventory has come down to 1. So it's come down by 0.1, sitting at 1 month of inventory, a very aggressive seller's market. Usually in typical seller's market, prices tend to be going up. Lots of competition, lots of people buying at list price or more. Inventory is very low in that case compared to the amount of buyers on the market there. And you can see here that average sold price has gone up. When we take a closer look at semis months of inventory is also down by 0.1. So we've got 0.6 months of inventory. 84% of those sold at list price or more. Now I just finished telling you in a seller's market, average price is going up. Well, here for semis, it came way down. Well, there's only 111 that were sold. We don't do a ton of volume for semis. And when you have a few semis not being sold, some of the luxury semis not being sold, it tends to really affect the average sold price quite a bit. So rest assured, if you're looking to sell your semi, average sold price did not drop by that much. It's just that the combination for this particular week happens to bring the overall average down. We've got the opposite effect when it comes to townhouses. Only 43 were sold, 67% sold at list price or more. Average sold prices came down by 0.1. It's now sitting at 0.7. But average sold price shot way up there from 1.2 to 1,354,000 for the average townhouse. Your townhouse did not increase in value by that much in 1 week. What happened was there was more than the usual amount of luxury townhouses that were sold. And in fact, out of these 43, 7 townhouses sold for between $2 and $2.9 million. So that shot up the average sold price quite a bit for all the townhouses. Let's take a real close look at the condo market. Sales went up to 437. That's a healthy jump from the previous week, and 437 is kind of just shy of where we were March and April. Average sold price came down slightly, sitting at $710,000 for the average sold price, and 40 condos, which is up slightly. 40 condos sold at $1 million or more, up by 2 from the previous week. Compared to last year, it's difficult to do that. However, you can see just a quick glance, we're not that far off from where we were last year's prices. When I talk about the other The other home types, there's a huge gap between last year's average price and this year, and everybody understands obvious reasons why there's a huge gap. There isn't such a huge gap. So condos have made a recovery, but not so much. Sales, like I said, sales are up quite a bit from the previous week, and of those 437, 66% sold at list price or more. So there's some activity there. There's some competition there in the condo market still. So sales are up by a healthy amount, but listings are down also by a healthy amount. And overall, months of inventory is down by 0.1. 1.2 months of inventory. Now, typically we would see average sold price go up a little bit. It did come down. It's a little bit. The condo market has not bottomed out. We're just a little bit higher than when we were last year, and it has been very steady now. So detached and condos kind of keeping its price steady for the last couple of months. And as an overall summary, when we look at months of inventory, for the home types that I have here, so detached, semi, towns, and condos, average sold price across all those 4 home types has come down by 0.1 months. The market in general became a little bit tighter last week's sales. Hope you enjoyed this micro report. Coming up on the next one, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the new stress test rules coming up. I'm going to talk about, what things could look like coming out of or partially coming out of the lockdown. Hope you had an awesome long weekend. My name is Santo Sessa with Remax Premier. Talk to you soon, and please leave your comments below.